Many rappers tend to tell their fans the truth when it comes to their craft and when they are going to drop, as they build a trustworthy relationship with their audience so they can expect new music at a certain time. However, this isn't the case for Atlanta superstar Playboi Carti, as he's remarkably known for lying to his fans, through the Narcissist always hinting at the fact that new music is coming very soon, as his fans tend to not get much music from their favorite artist, so when they hear those words, they get hyped for a new drop. Due to this relationship, Carti will always have his fans by his side as they wait for him to release new music. Which leaves the question, how untrustworthy is Playboi Carti himself? So join me today as I uncover every single lie Playboi Carti has ever said. Before we get into the video, I'd like to declare what exactly makes something a lie. Since something like the Introvert tour with Uzi and Kanye West is considered a lie to some, but for the sake of simplicity for this video, a lie would be anything Carti's ever said, and if any of his affiliates ever said anything regarding music, meaning that something like 48 Hours Locked In is considered a lie, while the Introvert tour isn't really a lie since Carti has never said anything regarding that. Hopefully that's clear for y'all, but with that being said, enjoy the video. The first lie Playboi Carti told was all the way back in 2012 before he was even a rapper. Carti would be seen on Twitter talking to his friend so they can link up. The plan was for the two to go out at 10 the following morning to skate and get some food. So his friend told him to hit him up in the morning so they could both get ready. Nevertheless, Carti didn't pull through and claimed that he didn't want to go out due to the rain. However, when looking at the area where they wanted to meet up and searching up past forecasts in that location, it only says that it was cloudy that day, meaning that Carti most likely didn't want to go out that day and just lied to get out of the situation. This exact moment would end up becoming a canon event in his life since it began the never-ending cycle of lies for the rapper. Before we fully dive into the numerous lies he was telling, let me briefly explain his come-up. The year is 2015, and the Atlanta rapper Playboi Carti just started his rap career with his closest friends, Uno the Activist and Thousand Band Fani. Uno and Carti would actually grow up together due to them being family friends. The two were so tight with each other that it caused many to believe they were actual cousins. Since the two were so close, they would both fall in love with music around the same time, which is why Uno could be spotted next to Carti within Carti's first ever music video. From here, some time would pass and Uno would end up meeting Fani at a house party. Uno would later introduce Fani to Carti and the three became a trio, allowing the three to constantly work with each other. Although there isn't a lot of music out with all of them together, they would still aid each other behind the scenes. Uno and Carti would obviously work together the most as they are practically brothers. Soon after, the trio would decide to form the collective Splur Gang, which only boosted their careers into new heights, since they began making waves throughout the underground. Carti would eventually catch the eye of fellow ASAP Mob member ASAP Rocky, as Carti's friend Ian Connor firstly introduced Rocky to Carti's music. This caused Carti to be frequently seen with the mob, as being seen with the mob would only take Carti into new heights. So Carti decided to talk to his former group less and less, and the mob was bringing him into the mainstream, allowing Carti to be looked at from the eyes of many throughout the early days of his career. From here, jumping to 2017, the year would be full of lies. To best paint the picture, Playboi Carti just became a household name amongst the ASAP mob after being seen around them. After going through an altercation with his former friends, Carti was ready to push the gas on his career, resulting in Carti to partake in a Fader interview in February 2017. Within the Fader interview, Carti would actually state,
I used to be a hoop star, I had hoop dreams. I was young AI and then go to practice, going like it was really hoop life with no rap. Like I was really on the court balling, like really balling, band balling. I was just doing other shit. I used to smoke before I go to practice, get on the court, drop like 30 on niggas like crazy, like had the city going wild.
Funnily enough, this would turn out to be a lie, as Carti would later be exposed for only playing one game ever in varsity basketball, which meant that Carti was only trying to make it seem like he was the next Michael Jordan during the interview, when in reality, he didn't even play the sport like that. Which is kind of funny, because there really isn't any reason to lie about that. especially since he's a rapper and not a basketball player. So I'm positive that no one would have really cared if he said he wasn't that great. Fast forwarding into April 2017, and Carti would yet be depicted committing another treacherous act of lying. See, around this time, Playboi Carti was gearing up to release his debut mixtape, self-titled. The fans were ready for this album as the tracks Lookin', featuring liluzivert, Woke Up Like This, also featuring liluzivert, and Magnolia all dropped as singles in preparation for this tape. Woke Up Like This and Magnolia would end up becoming some of Carti's biggest songs at the time, with both tracks receiving mainstream success, as Magnolia landed on the 29th spot on the Billboard Hot 100 and earned a triple RIAA Platinum certification. Alongside this, Woke Up Like This would peak at the 76th spot on Billboard and go double platinum. Clearly, the hype for this tape was at an all-time high. In fact, fans were anticipating this tape so much that they would even ask Carti himself when the mixtape will be dropping after his V-Files performance.
Carti, when is your tape dropping?
Yeah, for real. This big. I don't even know how he famous.
Come clean, please.
He ain't even got no tape. How the fuck is you famous?
Look.
Come clean for the people, please.
Honestly, yo, I didn't come in the game trying to make a mixtape.
That shit whack. That's what it is. He won't drop it because it's
My
whack.
mixtape too fire. I just been listening to other dudes' tapes and shit.
Stealing up a nigga swag.
I ain't missing out on nothing. It's lit. When it comes, it's gonna be lit.
Are you gonna drop an album?
Yeah, back to back.
Obviously, Carti was always strategic with his career and calculated the perfect moves in order for him to evolve. So hearing this is no surprise to many of you, but it depicts how Carti moves, which is why in early April it can come surprising that Carti would preview a track. The snippet was for a song called Alma Mater. This single would not meet an official release, but it would end up appearing online years later. Once the track fully leaked, the lyrics were revealed. Within the lyrics, one of the lines that Carti said was, "I swear to God, I'll never wear a dress." Now, this could be interpreted as a lie too, since Carti has been seen wearing dresses later down the line, as there have been 2 occasions where he's depicted wearing a dress. The first time this was apparent was during one of his shows in October 2021, where the fit he was wearing somewhat resembled a dress. I don't know the exact name for this piece, so if it isn't a dress, my bad. The second time would be seen a few years later for the music video for Backrooms featuring Travis Scott. Throughout the music video, Carti would be shown wearing a Junya Watanabe ruched ripstop midi dress. Now, one more thing I'd like to mention while we're on this topic is that during February 2024, Carti was seen wearing a Mason Margiela bodysuit, to which everyone thought was a piece of female clothing. Although this was later proven to be an unbuttoned bodysuit, I am mainly mentioning this because it goes against what the statement that he made on the Alma Mater track, meaning that he would never wear female clothes, even though there has been multiple times where he has. Now, if we're being real, this lie isn't anything serious, as Carti probably just changed his mind later on in his life, as the song was made during the self-titled era, meaning that he was around the age of 19. So it's pretty likely that he just wasn't messing with that style and grew into it later on. Regardless, this quote-unquote lie wasn't really a lie or a huge one at that, and I just thought I should include it since I found it funny. Returning back to April 2017, and Playboi Carti would officially drop his first ever project, self-titled, truly bringing him into new heights. This project was fairly successful as it earned him a platinum record and peaked on the 12th spot on the Billboard 200. It would even sell over 28,000 first week, which is pretty good for an artist of his size at the time. But as we all know, Carti did not only come up alone, as his partner in crime was slowly starting to become a big name within the mainstream. liluzivert was Playboi Carti's duo, as the two would constantly be seen with each other during many performances, interviews, and tracks, as the two at one point seemed like brothers who would never leave each other behind. Unfortunately, this wasn't the case, and Carti would end up saying one of his biggest lies due to this. But let me briefly explain the history behind the two so you can get a grasp of how significant this lie was. The two would officially meet up for the first time in 2016 around the same time Carti was being seen around the ASAP mob, meaning that Carti was slowly on the come up within the underground. As for Uzi, he he was already establishing himself as an artist through his well-renowned project, Love Is Rage. The two then went on to become great friends due to them having the same passion for music. But keep in mind that Uzi would be a much bigger artist than Carti, since he had hits like You Are Right and Money Longer, not to mention his hit feature on the Migos' track, Bad and Bougie, which earned him a #1 placement on the Billboard Hot 100, truly showing that Uzi has fully propelled himself into the mainstream. Comparing this to Carti, who at the time didn't really have as many hits that would earn him mainstream success. So him just being seen around Uzi was severely detrimental towards his career, since Uzi was becoming a fairly new mainstream artist. The two would have multiple collabs in the past through the songs Left Right and of course We Ghetto Flowers. These tracks marked the beginning of the power duo, since it paved the way for fans to be eager to hear more from the two due to how good those songs were. This is something that Carti took note of, as Uzi was becoming increasingly popular as the days went by, which is why when he was gearing up to drop his debut mixtape, he noticed that Uzi released his most successful single to date, XO Tour Life, which is currently sitting on 2.1 billion streams on Spotify. This song alone shot Uzi up to the forefront of the mainstream. This is something that Carti wanted to do as well, as he was slowly acquiring new fans. So it only made sense for him to drop the singles Woke Up Like This and Lookin', which both featured Uzi before releasing his debut mixtape. As I mentioned before, these songs were extremely successful, with Woke Up Like This racking up over 556 million streams on Spotify. Clearly, this brought more attention to Carti's name, as people were starting to take note of his relationship with Lil Uzi Vert, since this song was one of his biggest songs within his discography and exposed him to a wider audience. Their relationship would only increase as the two seemed inseparable, as if they were brothers, which is why it came to no surprise that Carti would state they would constantly be in the studio together during a Genius interview.
Me and Uzi be in the studio together at all times, and we just be knowing, you know what I'm saying? We're a team.
Even though the two would always be around each other, it didn't stop the fact that Uzi was still a much bigger artist than Carti. After all, just looking at the sales between Carti's first tape and the album Uzi released shortly after, which was Love Is Rage 2, the comparison seemed night and day. Seeing the success Uzi was receiving was driving Carti to take his career to the next level. So he came up with the bright idea to continue to write off the success from Uzi by announcing that he will be developing a mixtape with him. So on September 17th, 2017, Playboi Carti would take to his Snapchat story to announce Carti Uzi tape, Uzi Carti tape, 1629, with 16 relating to the 1600 area code of Uzi's block in Philadelphia, and 29 standing for the 2900 area code of Carti's block in Atlanta. This was the first time where they publicized that they were working on a tape together. In fact, Carti would even reinforce the idea that they are dropping on his Twitter by tweeting out a similar message. So by this point in time, it appeared that Carti and Uzi were set to release a collaborative project. Obviously, this hasn't happened, and it was clearly a lie. Nevertheless, this lie would see some sort of continuation as the years progressed. So what exactly happened for this album to not see an official release? Well, for starters, many leakers evidently acquired the project and started to leak them online. This utterly created a ripple effect as it began the shakiness of the project's existence. The first notable song that got leaked was Breaking the Bank, which only boosted fans' excitement for the duo's joint project. Luckily, this leak didn't seem to ruin any chances of the tape releasing, as they were still rolling out the project. Soon after, they announced a tour further confirming the album's existence. Unfortunately, just 24 hours following the tour's announcement, Uzi would declare that he will not be going on tour with Carti because he needs to focus on his own music, which is pretty unfortunate, as this tour would have done huge numbers for both of their careers. Now, you may start to question if the album is still going to be released, to which there are 3 possible answers to this. 1. Uzi thought there was no reason to drop an album with Carti since he is much bigger than him, so by releasing a tape with him, it is only really helping Carti. However, for Carti, some of his biggest songs contain an Uzi feature, so people were already looking at Carti as Uzi's sidekick. If they were to officially release a whole tape, then would further solidify the idea that he is Uzi's sidekick. Nevertheless, there is still a possibility that the album probably just didn't drop due to the many leaks, since the tracks Break the Bank, Bankroll, and Throw It Up all were supposed to be on the project but ended up leaking. Now, since I'm mainly going to be focusing on the lies that were told, I am going to be fast forwarding a couple of years. If you guys want to know the full history behind this album and the history of the duo, I talked about it in my Rap Duos That Broke Apart video, so be sure to check that out. Anyways, a few years would pass and Uzi and Carti both dropped their respective solo bodies of work, which meant that their own separate careers had been taken off, which left fans wondering if 1629 is still a possibility, as this was similar to how it was back in 2017. Uzi would actually start hinting at this release by tweeting out 1629 with some kiss emojis. Uzi then would state how he feels about the project.
Y'all asked me one thing about Carti. Y'all said that why we ain't dropped 1629, bro. I said I don't got the songs. I don't have them.
Oddly enough, even though this was stated, Carti would actually say something peculiar about the project. See, during a XXL interview in 2021, Carti would be asked about the whereabouts of 1629. Uzi is working on mad music right now. I don't know if he's serious about a lot of things, but I hope one day we can change the world with that for sure. This was just strange because Uzi is the one explaining how he's waiting for Carti to be ready to make the project, but Carti is the one saying how he needs Uzi to be ready. If you ask me, this just seemed like a way for him to dodge the question regarding the album, since he probably wanted to keep the lie alive and have his fans believe in the slightest possibility that this collaborative album is ever going to see the light of day. Although Carti remained mysterious regarding the album, Uzi would actually reveal more information about it on Adin Ross's stream. Although he was providing the fans with more info, the project would never drop. Now, I want to state one last occurrence regarding the album and its non-existence. The year is 2023 and Lil Uzi Vert is building up hype for his third studio album, Pink Tape. During the rollout for this album, Uzi would post on his Instagram story tagging Carti with the caption reading, "Me and my love about to take over the world." This had fans thinking that a 1629 collab song was potentially on the way for Uzi's album. Well, this would actually not come into fruition as there were no Carti features on the album. Funnily enough, a 1629 song would actually leak via Uzi's team by accidentally putting the song on YouTube instead of the track they were supposed to drop. Just hours following this mishap, Uzi's team took down the song and uploaded the song that was supposed to be on YouTube. Clearly, Carti did not clear his verse and let Uzi post that message for no reason, leaving Uzi to replace the song at the last minute. So why did Carti lead Uzi on to lie to the fans? This exact question will be answered by fellow YouTuber Babalam.
So Carti was actually on it at one point, like 5 days ago, and then he pulled the plug on the song because he didn't like it. It wasn't adhesive or cohesive with his opium sound, like the dark grungy like rock star shit for his next album. He wasn't answering Uzi or sending him another verse. He was just saying, like, he wasn't even messaging him at all. So he ghosted him until the day before Pink Tape, where then he asked for like all the Pink Tape songs allegedly. Obviously at that point it's just too late.
So basically, Carti was being fake towards Uzi and screwed him over his feature on the album. This was the last bit of information regarding the entire lie of 1629 as a project. Since the two's relationship seems a bit shaky and no one truly knows if the album itself even exists at this point, since the duo are known for creating hit songs. This entire project would actually be one of Carti's biggest lies, which is probably why Uzi has been mentioning it more than him. After all, there are still some delusional fans that believe 1629 is still going to drop, which is why they keep asking him where the album is. I guess some things just never change. Anyways, I mainly mentioned the parts where I believe Carti was involved in promoting the album, as he is the one trying to answer the whereabouts of this project in a shady manner. Regardless, who truly knows if 1629 is ever going to be released? It may forever stay as one of Carti's biggest lies. Heading back to 2018, where Playboi Carti recently released his debut studio album, Die Lit, which significantly boosted his career, as it peaked on the 3rd spot on the Billboard 200 and gathered an RIAA gold plaque. It also went on to sell over 61,000 first week sales. truly showing how Carti was beginning to reach new heights within the mainstream. Nonetheless, fans would still be left wondering when the next Carti album will drop, as Carti is severely mysterious and the odds of Carti dropping anytime soon after Die Lit are mad low. Not to mention the fact that he would announce the Neon Tour, so he can perform all the new music he just dropped, leaving fans to question when exactly is Carti going to start developing his next body of work, which is why Playboi Carti would take to his Instagram Live to begin previewing tracks from his next album, Die Lit 2. This title was most likely a placeholder as he didn't create the concept behind Lotta Red yet. Alongside this, once he changed the title, most of the tracks were sounding similar to Die Lit rather than it being different. Regardless, Carti would declare the official name of his next album during August of 2019. This was the start of his next era as fans were getting hyped to hear what the rising rapper had in store for them. The hype would grow even more when frequent collaborator Pierre Bourne would tweet out Whole Lotta Red, seemingly confirming that he will once again produce for Carti's album. This led to people to begin anticipating this project as Pierre and Carti are an iconic artist-producer duo, as they developed such hits like R.I.P., Foreign, and Magnolia. This takes us to June 12, 2019, where he would do an interview with the Fader magazine where he began discussing the project. During the interview, he would be asked if the album is done, to which he responded by saying, "I could be done if I wanted to. I'm just trying to top stuff. I might make the hardest song ever tomorrow." The interview then went on to declare that Carti made around 50 songs for this album. Upon hearing this, fans got instantly excited as Carti seemed ready to drop his next highly anticipated project, thus causing people to constantly question when he was going to drop not only online but also at his performances. So on July 27, 2019, Carti would publicize that his album was supposedly going to drop within the next 60 days.
I'm trying to drop my shit in the next 60 days.
He said I'm gonna drop that shit in like 6 days.
He then went on to state that it will contain no features.
I ain't gonna lie, I feel like we worked too hard for this moment. So I'm gonna do this shit, no features, that's all I need.
Now, this led to fans waiting a whole 60 days for Carti's next album. After all, he directly told the audience at his show that he was planning to do so, resulting in people to anticipate it. Nevertheless, his sophomore studio album wouldn't even drop after the 60 days. In fact, it wouldn't drop for a total of 517 days after this announcement. Funnily enough, it would also contain features from notable artists like Kanye West, Kid Cudi, and Future, meaning that Playboi Carti told a double lie as the album did not drop after 60 days and had multiple features. Now, this was probably one of my favorite lies since Carti blatantly told his fans when his album was going to drop at his concert. This seemed like a great moment to start rolling out his next album because he directly gave his fans a time frame where it would be enough time to do so. Evidently, this led to a massive outrage online after the 60 days since there were no albums to be found, thus leading to fans into creating a change.org petition to force Carti to drop Whole Lotta Red, which is insane since this exact tactic would be utilized in the modern day, but more on that later. Obviously, Carti would not listen to this petition and keep his head up when it came to working on the project. Now, keep in mind that a possible reason why this album didn't drop during this point is because multiple songs from it would appear online, with tracks like Asthma, Coop, and Skeleton all leaking, causing the album to be delayed. Nevertheless, this wouldn't be the last time this album was teased, as just a few months later in October 2019, Playboi Carti would post to his Instagram page with the caption reading, "Red incoming." This led people to believe that Whole Lotta Red was around the corner. Then, the next day, Carti would post again on his Instagram page, this time with the caption saying, "Less than 48 hours locked in." This would get the fans riled up, as this was posted on a Wednesday, which meant that 48 hours from then would be Friday, with Friday being the typical day where most artists tend to release their music. So through this post, people once more got excited for a potential new Carti drop. In fact, this post would even reach the mainstream media because numerous blogs would actually post about the potential drop. Now, With all this hype building up and the fans anticipating skyrocketing through the roofs, people were preparing for Friday in hopes to hear Whole Lotta Red. And then it became Friday and nothing dropped, as this was yet another mere lie by the rapper. Evidently, this would cause yet another outcry by the fans, as some would declare, more like Whole Lotta Disappointment, the ultimate capper. Bro, you'd be lying to your fans? Shake my head. Clearly, fans were annoyed at the fact that Carti lied to them again. And if you're asking why would Carti lie about something like this, I truly don't know. Some people did assume that he probably meant 48 hours locked in the studio. If you're asking me, this was probably the case, but at the end of the day, who truly knows? Nonetheless, if you're also wondering why he keeps delaying this album and refusing to drop it, it's because there have been multiple leaks causing it to get delayed. As we all know, Carti is a perfectionist, so when songs like Cancun, Place, and Neon all seemingly appear online, it causes him to want to restart the whole project. I mean, look what happened when Carti played Neon at one of his shows and the entire crowd knew the track. Obviously, he was distraught by this and led him to want to make an entire new version of the project, beginning the new era for this album being centered around his baby voice, which was blowing up around this time. This brings us to another possibility of what 48 hours locked in meant, as in recent times, it came out that Carti was allegedly going to release the song You Can Do It Too a week after the original post. Keep in mind, this is according to insiders, as they claim that the track was supposedly going to be the lead single for the project and drop on the 25th, meaning that Carti was most likely in the studio for those 48 hours and was just working on the project. However, take this information with a grain of salt, because Discord insiders aren't always the most valuable when it comes to information regarding Playboi Carti. So this may not be the case. Regardless of the matter, it still took Carti a grand total of 10,465 hours from the original post to the actual release of Whole Lotta Red, which I found quite hilarious. Returning to the long journey to Whole Lotta Red, Playboi Carti would be experimenting with his new baby voice sound in the studio. This would be the new direction of Whole Lotta Red and officially become the second version of the album. The new direction for this album would not only be due to the constant leaks, but also due to the fact that this sound exploded at the time, as the track, Kid Cudi, would become an instant hit with it being viral all over the internet. Alongside this, Carti also previewed this sound on Die Lit through the song Flatbed Freestyle, as it showed the vocal range Carti has with his baby voice by it being very squeaky. This would lead to Carti to want to push the boundaries as much as he can with this sound. Now, with this in mind, it came to many surprise that at the start of 2020, Carti decided to publicize that he plans on dropping his highly anticipated project this year during an interview. This basically meant that at any time throughout 2020, we could possibly see the release date for Whole Lotta Red. So, as the days were passing by, Playboi Carti was gearing up to drop his highly anticipated project and the fans were getting ready. This anticipation would only escalate further once Carti posted the cover art for his lead single for his upcoming album. This would be followed by a couple more tweets of him saying, "I can't wait," "Forever Lit," and "No Sleep." Clearly, Carti was very excited to drop this single. So when Atme officially dropped on April 16th, 2020, Playboi Carti was finally in that mode to drop the tape, which is why on that same day, Carti would tweet out Monday, causing everyone to believe that something was going to happen by Monday. But then Monday came and nothing really happened. This was yet another lie by the Narcissist himself, as the fans wouldn't really be surprised by this point. In all honesty, this is one of the funnier lies he has done, because he clearly said Monday for a reason, just for nothing to happen. This situation has become pretty infamous at this point, since this is one of the more notorious lies. Funnily enough, Carti would actually drop information regarding his album on a Monday, as on December 21st, 2020, he would announce the release date, the cover art, and the pre-order for Whole Lotta Red. Then, on January 1st, 2024, which was a Monday, Playboi Carti would actually release a song titled Backrooms featuring Travis Scott. So even though this was a lie, Carti did eventually drop information and music on a Monday. Although this lie is notorious, at least the fans did receive something later on. Heading back to the beginning of 2020, and Carti was continuing to work on the album. He had just come off the At Meh single, which did receive mixed reviews by the fans. Although this was the case, Carti remained confident when it came to his album. Sadly, some time would pass, and Carti was getting old of his baby voice sound. Alongside this, one of his friends, Big Sosa, unfortunately passed away in an untimely manner. This would supposedly be due to Ola Runt and his gang, the Henchmen, but I don't want to get too much into that as it strays away from the video. Nevertheless, these two reasons caused Carti to delay his album and reconstruct it once again, fully starting the third version of Whole Lotta Red as he went back to the drawing board. From here, we don't truly know the sound Carti was cooking until he started previewing them on his Instagram Live and page. Carti would first start his rollout for his upcoming sophomore studio album through an Instagram post on November 23rd, 2020 with a caption that read, "Album turned in." Then, the next day, Carti would be previewing a track that we now know was Go to the Moon with Kanye West. This would reveal that Carti was heavily leaning into this vampire punk aesthetic for this album. So, as the rollout was continuing, Carti would become very active around this time. This caused him to take to Twitter to tweet out, at Post Malone, "Hey," and at Pharrell, "What you doing?" This led fans to believe that Pharrell Williams and Post Malone were going to be on the album since he was in the midst of a rollout. Then, a month later, on December 19th, 2020, Carti would seemingly hint at another feature on his upcoming project by saying, "At Travis, wow, amazing, love this verse, red red." This tweet would be 6 days before the release of Whole Lotta Red, making it seem like he was hinting at a Travis Scott feature on the album. On top of this, the tweet would end with red red, further solidifying the possibility of Travis Scott appearing on Carti's album. Shortly after this, Carti would preview his notorious leak, Kid Cudi, with a brand new Kid Cudi feature on it, with the caption reading, "Kid Cudi on Kid Cudi." Through the caption, the snippet itself, and the timing of when the snippet was released, it led fans into believing that the Kid Cudi track was going to appear on Whole Lotta Red. Nonetheless, Whole Lotta Red would drop, and fans were surprised at the fact that Post Malone, Pharrell Williams, Travis Scott, and Kid Cudi being on Kid Cudi were nowhere to be found, meaning that Carti would lie again about the features regarding the album. Although this could just be interpreted as Carti being hyped to work with these artists. But if we're being honest, Carti knew what he was doing by putting out those tweets, as he just began the rollout of his album, so by tweeting at artists and saying red within those tweets, fans were clearly going to assume that he's announcing those artists as features to be on the project. Alongside this, Kid Cudi would still be on Whole Lotta Red despite it not being the Kid Cudi song. So it's very likely that Carti knew this was the case and previewed the single to promote the album, as it is a very infamous leak within the industry. Since it's an infamous leak, he knew that people were going to be hyped to hear the track's official release with the Kid Cudi feature, resulting in some to see the Kid Cudi feature and immediately click on it due to them believing it was the leaked song. However, it obviously wasn't, and Carti yet again disappointed many fans. Nevertheless, 3 months after Whole Lotta Red dropped, fans would discover that Travis Scott potentially had a verse on the intro track Rockstar Made, since popular streamer Aiden Ross would state on stream that he heard a version with Travis on the song. Then, for Post Malone, he was also speculated to be on the song Money and Drugs, since he was seen with Carti a month after the alleged recording session of the track, which was February 25th, 2020. This would make sense since the song was when Carti was utilizing his baby voice, which was the vision he had for the album at that point in time. Regardless, these two scenarios are yet to be fully confirmed, as no songs from this era have been leaked with Travis or a Post Malone feature. So we may never know the truth behind what songs they were on. Returning back to the release of Whole Lotta Red, Carti would be caught lying once more. This falsified truth would be caught through one of the tracks titled New Tank, as Carti would be heard saying, "Got tats on my face." Now, if we look at the countless pictures of the rapper, it is pretty clear that Carti has no tats on his face. In fact, all he has on his face is his birthmark on his left cheek. To make things even more ironic, Carti would state in an interview back in 2018 as to why he doesn't even want tattoos on his face.
Why no facial tattoos?
I never needed them, you know what I mean? I got a birthmark, it's kind of big. So it don't even make sense for me to get face tattoos. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was never into them.
So by this point, it's evident that Carti just said this bar because it sounded hard and not because it's the truth. Obviously, this lie wasn't anything serious, but it is just funny to think Carti would blatantly lie like this in a track. Nevertheless, the release of Whole Lotta Red came with a lot of issues as people were clowning on the album, allowing the phrase "whole lot of trash" to be trending all over Twitter. On top of this, on the night of the album's release, Carti would be on Instagram Live listening to his song "Stop Breathing," where he would glance at the comments trashing his project. This caused Carti to have a shocked look on his face and end the live. This would actually be Carti's last Instagram Live, as he has yet to start another one since this occurred. This outcry by the fans caused Carti to be worried for the state of his career. After all, his fans were anticipating this album for 2 years, and the album they received wasn't the best. Although some fans thought it was overhated, the massive burst of people saying the album is bad could negatively impact his career. Sure, it'll cause mainstream fans who haven't heard the album to check it out, since it was being hated all over the internet, but once they did, they would quickly turn on it due to the newer sound being so weird at the time. Although this was the narrative at this moment, the album still went #1 on the Billboard 200, sold 100,000 units first week, and go RIAA certified gold. This depicted the success of the album, even though many were not fond of it. So with all this in mind, Playboi Carti saw an opportunity to grow his career and give the fans what they wanted. Which is why he took to Twitter to say, "Talk to me. What song do you need on the deluxe?" This tweet publicizes the existence of a Whole Lotta Red deluxe. This plan would let the fans choose what songs they would want to be officially released in hopes to change the public opinion of the album, leading into some individuals to ask for songs that were already leaked or previewed. Carti would actually double down on dropping a deluxe by tweeting, "Deluxe on the way? Yes," on the next day. At first glance, this does seem like a great idea since numerous people were bashing on this album. However, in reality, this ideology would further tarnish Carti's career as he would drop songs that most fans already heard or wanted. This is something that Carti's other half, liluzivert, did with his album Eternal Take. Since some of the fans didn't seem to be too impressed with that album after waiting so long for it. Not to mention, the leaked songs leading up to the album were highly received, so by dropping an album without any of them caused some to complain. On top of all this, Uzi himself would claim that the album was not that great. So with all of these factors in place, Uzi clearly was not very confident about his body of work. As many fans weren't happy, the leaks were better than the actual album, and Uzi himself saying the album could have been better, it only seemed like the path of his career was on a decline. In hopes to combat this, he decided to drop the deluxe to Eternal Take, being Lil Uzi Vert vs. the World 2, the week after the release of the original project. This deluxe would contain songs that the fans actually wanted, and at the time were highly praised. This is where things turned south, as after some time passed, people don't have a lot of love for the original Eternal Take. At the time of me writing this video, it is January 23rd, 2025, and people don't really look at this album the same as they do with Whole Lotta Red. This is because Uzi did not double down and stay confident about his body of work, causing people to not want to go back to the project. This only results in fans not having the same love for the music since they see their favorite artists not claiming the music they did drop to be their best work. With all of this in mind, it becomes pretty evident that Carti dropping a deluxe to Whole Lotta Red might not be the brightest idea, which is why the whole ideology behind the deluxe started to become a shaky path for Carti to follow. Since he saw how the fans reacted to Uzi's album and how it kind of came and went for some. This is something that Carti wanted to avoid, as he wanted his album to be a moment to remember. So Carti would slowly start to move away from the idea of a deluxe until April 2021. During April 2021, Carti would do an interview with Rolling Stone where he reinforced the idea of a Whole Lotta Red Deluxe and stated that it is due this spring. Then, spring would pass and no deluxe album would be in sight. In fact, it's been 4 years since the announcement of the deluxe and it obviously hasn't dropped. Plainly, this was definitely a lie since the Whole Lotta Red Deluxe never came into fruition. Even though this was the case, in my opinion, this lie benefited Carti's career as it forced people to go back and re-listen to the album. Alongside this, some of the songs off the album were exploding on TikTok, causing the album to have a resurgence amongst the fans. Finally, once Carti went on tour for this project, people saw how crazy the concerts were and wanted to learn the songs just to see him perform them. Through all three of these reasons, the narrative behind Whole Lotta Red as an album was beginning to change. Instead of the hate consuming the project's name, the name was starting to be surrounded by people praising it. This is something that would have never happened if Playboi Carti did officially release the deluxe, meaning that by lying, Carti potentially saved his career. Returning back to the beginning of 2021, Playboi Carti was still planning on releasing new music. With talks of a deluxe in the air, people were shocked how eager he was to even drop new music after Whole Lotta Red. Even though some saw right through Carti's antics and believed that he wasn't going to drop anything, it was still surprising to see Carti this active after releasing an album. But what would be even more surprising is the possible announcement of another tape. On March 10th, 2021, Playboi Carti would take to Instagram to show off his potential new era within his career, as he posted multiple pictures of himself wearing an all-white look with blonde dreads. This was a drastic change compared to his previous aesthetic of all-black, vampire-esque attire. However, it was the caption that Carti left that had fans wondering if they were closer than they thought to a new project. As the caption read, "Let's drop this new album. We not done." This led fans into believing that a new project was in the works and being prepared to drop within the near future. Although it caused some confusion since Carti was promoting a deluxe to his album a few months prior, people were still excited to hear what Carti has been cooking up. The hype would only increase too when Carti's photographer, Gunnar Stahl, commented, "Molly World greater than," to which only led fans into assuming that the next project is named Molly World. This also suggested that it would be better than Whole Lotta Red due to the greater than symbol. Carti would then double down and post again the following day with a new caption saying, "I want to bleach more white into my hair. I want to drop like right now," which further depicted that he was eager to release new music. Alongside this, it further showed Carti's new all-white aesthetic, which means that a new era probably did commence. Despite this, both posts and the comment were brazen lies, as Playboi Carti's next album has yet to be released and the name of it isn't even Molly World. Now, I am not considering this as a double lie, as it is possible that Molly World could have been a very early version of his next album, or Carti could have been referring to the Whole Lotta Red Deluxe, and Gunnar was just commenting something in reference to that, as it could have been a song or even the title for the deluxe, like how liluzivert vs. the World 2 was the title for the Eternal Take Deluxe. At the end of the day, we don't truly know if Molly World even exists or not, since this is the only time we heard anything regarding a project with that name. It would be interesting to know what it sounds like if it does exist, but if you're asking me, it probably was just a Whole Lotta Red Deluxe and sounded like an extension of the original project. From here, the next big thing Carti would drop would be the Sky music video on April 2nd, 2021. This video would be fairly successful as it racked up over 96 million views. This video would utterly put to rest any hopes of a new album or deluxe since he was continuing to support the Whole Lotta Red era. Oddly enough, talks of a new album just started to arise just a few months later. On August 23rd, 2021, Playboi Carti would return to Instagram to post a couple of pictures with the caption being Narcissist 9/13/21, which is his birthday if you didn't know. The title Narcissist being a reference to his ex-girlfriend Iggy Azalea calling him a narcissist after attending his album release party instead of spending time with his family for Christmas. This singular post sparked up Playboi Carti's fans' hope in a new album once more, as the stars seemed to align for something to actually happen on that day. To best paint the picture, Playboi Carti and Kanye West had built up a strong relationship with each other for quite a while. After all, Kanye was the executive producer for Whole Lotta Red and was on the album as a feature. Then, when it was time for Kanye's highly anticipated album, Donda, to drop, he went to Carti for aid, as he wanted the young prodigy to be on his project since he knew how talented he was. So the two would begin to cook up numerous tracks, which led to Carti to be on 2 different songs on the official album, those songs being Junior and Off the Grid. These tracks would be extremely successful as they racked up tens of millions of streams, landed within the top 20 of the Billboard Hot 100, and earned 1 RIAA Platinum record. In fact, Donda was nominated for Album of the Year that year, so by technicality, Carti would have earned a Grammy if it won. Through all of the success, it only made sense for Carti to drop, as this was at the height of his career. Plus, knowing that he has been spending tons of time with Kanye West, the likelihood of another album being finished seemed very high. Not to mention that the type of style Carti was going for within the post seemed pretty similar to Kanye West's aesthetic, meaning that the chances of Playboi Carti releasing an album on 9/13/21 are pretty high, as it would only increase his career even more. It appeared that he already had this era paved out in a biker anonymous persona. I don't really know what to call it, but it looked like this was the next wave of his career. Nonetheless, the odds of this project further increased when Carti would post another series of pictures with the same caption, further pushing the agenda that something is going to happen on that specific day. He would do one more final post the day before the alleged drop date, promoting it one last time. Alongside this, his website would also be updated with a bunch of tour dates publicizing a Narcissist tour. There would even be billboards promoting the Narcissist tour being spotted all over the nation. So by this point, people were fully convinced that music will be dropping on September 13th, 2021. Well, September 13th, 2021 came around and something did actually drop, but it wasn't what the fans were expecting. You see, music wouldn't actually drop on this day, which disappointed fans, but when going to his website, multiple pieces of merch would be available, as he had pieces like bomber jackets, caps, and a $5,000 motorcycle helmet, all being available for purchase. And yes, you heard that correctly, $5,000. All this merch seemed to match the theme he was going for, as they all related to motorcycles. However, Carti would announce the next day that the merch wasn't supposed to be up, as he posted a picture of a text message stating, "The website is hacked, the reference folder was posted live, never approved any clothing, etc." This seemed to be legit, as fans did discover that the $5,000 motorcycle helmet was just a $50 AliExpress biker helmet that said Narcissist on it, depicting that they were probably just testing out ideas when developing the merch, and they didn't mean to be publicly available at that point in time. Playboi Carti would post another text message the following day, this time reading, "Forget about sample clearances, drop Narcissist," thus revealing that Narcissist was an actual album that did exist and contained samples that couldn't get cleared. This led to people questioning if music was actually supposed to drop on his birthday, since the sample clearances prevented it from happening. To make things even more confusing, Carti would be spotted with Uzi wearing Narcissist merch just a couple of days later. This meant that Uzi and Carti were possibly going to be collaborating again on this album, since there wouldn't really be any other reason as to why the two of them would be seen wearing Narcissist merch. Playboi Carti would then continue to promote the Narcissist title by simply putting out a tweet that said, "Narcissist." Clearly, Narcissist was going to be an album that could not be dropped in time due to some samples not being cleared. It also appeared that Carti had planned merch for this album, since the reference photos for those merch were hacked and put up for sale for his fans to purchase. From those pieces of merch, it is quite likely that the theme behind this entire album were motorcycles, meaning that the album probably incorporated some sort of motorcycle sounds into the tracks. If you're asking me, it probably would have sounded like the rage songs from Whole Lotta Red, but way more intense with the motorcycle sounds in the background. It would also include the introduction to Carti's deep voice, since one of the songs from this era, Two Out featuring Uzi, got leaked and Carti's being heard testing out a newer voice. Regardless of this, the name Narcissist would not be brought up again until October 20th, 2022, where Playboi Carti would launch a countdown for his Opium record label website. Once the countdown fully reached 0, fans would be met with a series of clothing featuring caps having Narcissist all over it, tank tops with Narcissist on it, and hoodies with mugshots of criminals with face tats. One of these pieces would have a controversy surrounding it since one of the criminals were arrested for sexual abuse of a minor. Obviously, this would be quickly taken down, and people who bought this piece of merch were refunded. It's most likely that Carti just thought his tattoo was hard and didn't do any research behind why he was arrested when he should have. Regardless of this, the whole thing revealed that Narcissist eventually became a clothing line. This lie is probably my second favorite, as Carti hyped up everyone just for nothing to drop. The Narcissist tour that he began promoting swiftly got turned into the King Vamp tour, where he just performed Lotta Red songs. It's probably for the best that this ended up being a lie, as the sound Carti was going for was definitely not ready, since it's been less than a year since his last album. Which means that odds are this sound wasn't really polished and wasn't appealing. It was for the best that Carti turned Narcissist into a clothing line, since it's been 40 months since the original date for his next album, and no project has been released. So basically, to quickly wrap up this lie in one sentence, Narcissist was an album that was intended to drop on his birthday in 2021, but was rapidly switched into a clothing line that he planned on releasing. Returning back to the tour announcement, Playboi Carti decided to rebrand the entire tour to the King Vamp Narcissist Tour. This would be very likely due to the fact that Carti wasn't prepared to drop an album and go on tour with it. Especially since he didn't seem confident about that body of work, it wouldn't be the smartest move to release it. So Carti began going on the road and performing all over the United States. Through these tour shows, the mainstream audience began to notice how insane they were as his fans were moshing at every venue. Then, sometime in November 2021, during one of Carti's shows, he would announce that he has some new music coming out soon. This was the most obvious lie yet, as the video is over 3 years old and we did not get any new music until December 2023. So new music didn't come out soon, as it took a huge amount of time just for new music to be dropped. Carti most likely did this just to hype up the fans, but if we're being real, there was no chance he was going to drop during or after his tour, because in reality, there was probably no soon at this point in time. From here, Carti would solely focus on finishing up his tour as each venue went insane, as the fans were eager to start jumping to the tracks from the album. This would take us to 2022, where Playboi Carti had just concluded the King Vamp Narcissist tour, allowing for some fans to begin to question if Carti was going to enter a brand new era. Well, this did not appear to be the case, as he was starting to show an evolved version of the Vamp era fits during his performances as he began wearing face paint at his shows. Then, he began performing the Donda 2 listening parties with Kanye West. During these listening parties, fans would get to hear the new deep voice sound Carti was working on through the track Mr. Miyagi, as Carti appeared to sound deeper and more ratchet compared to his other voices. This would mark the official start of the new era within his career. Following this, Carti would then do an interview with XXL magazine where he provided some insight regarding the album, as the interview asked him what is the name of his next album after playing his new song, Wicked, for him. To which he stated, "I was about to name my album Music, because that's where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? Music." He then doubled down by saying, "Music, because that's all it is at this point." So at this point in time, Carti has fully publicized that the current name for his next album, with it being simply titled Music, as it sounds like Carti is venturing off to create music that everyone will like. Then, he began performing the Donda 2 listening parties with Kanye West. During these listening parties, fans would get to hear the new deep voice sound Carti was working on through the track Mr. Miyagi, as Carti appeared to sound deeper and more ratchet compared to his other voices. This would mark the official start of the new era within his career. Following this, Carti would then do an interview with XXL magazine where he provided some insight regarding the album, as the interview asked him what is the name of his next album after playing his new song, Wicked, for him. To which he stated, "I was about to name my album Music because that's where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? Music." He then doubled down by saying, "Music, because that's all it is at this point." So at this point in time, Carti has fully publicized that the current name for his next album, with it being simply titled Music, as it sounds like Carti is venturing off to create music that everyone will like. Afterwards, any news with Carti seemed to die down a bit as he went dark for a while besides performing at multiple shows. This takes us to September 21st, 2022, where Carti would be arrested for speeding 135 miles per hour in a 55 zone. Now, this footage would appear later on in 2024, but since it's from 2022, I decided to include it here. Anyways, when watching the footage, Carti would be depicted lying to the police multiple times.
What do you know about? Guns, drugs, knives, bombs. You got an extended mag Glock sitting on the fucking passenger seat.
My girl's pregnant, bro. I'm not.
What, so what does that have to do with it?
I'm running late. I have a star in my eye.
So you can't see real well? So what you're saying to me is that even worse than the fact that you're driving 133 in a 55 is you can't see real well.
No, that's not what
while
I'm
you're.
I wasn't trying to harm anyone. I'm not a bad dude.
This was severely reckless since he should not be lying to the cops in the first place, especially when it comes to owning a firearm, as it makes him look suspicious. Regardless, Carti then proceeds to claim that he was rushing to see his girlfriend because she was pregnant, which wouldn't make much sense as he was heading to the airport, so he had to go back on his word and say he was running late. Carti then explained how it was hard for him to see, which would only make things worse as he shouldn't be driving if that's the case. Finally, he said how he wasn't trying to harm anyone, which is true since that was probably his intention. However, by speeding, he could have put someone else's life in danger. So through all of these mishaps by the rapper, the police believed they needed to take him to the station. For this lie, Carti was completely at fault as he should have not been speeding in the first place. On top of this, when the cops came to question him, he began lying to them multiple times. Although it's apparent that he was panicking and began saying whatever he could during that moment in time. But by lying, he could have made the situation way worse than it already was, and it might have negatively affected his career. Nevertheless, Carti was freed shortly after, and this scenario was left behind. As the police incident ended, Carti would once more stay in the dark for the rest of the year, since not much would happen regarding the rapper or any new music in general. Which brings us to December 2022, where fans began speculating that Carti is going to announce something due to the Whole Lotta Red anniversary coming up. See, ever since Carti dropped Whole Lotta Red on Christmas back in 2020, Christmas has become some sort of special day for the fans because they always look forward to the rapper posting something on that particular day. So as the day was slowly approaching, people began questioning if he was going to publicize anything, drop music, or even just post a fit pic. The theorizing would only continue as Carti would then post a picture on his Instagram page on Christmas Eve. The photo would seemingly appear to be an album cover for his project, Music, signified by the parental advisory on the bottom right corner. The cover itself would be a mirror picture of Balenciaga creative director Bessie Johnson. If you're asking me why this is the potential cover, I truly don't know. She probably had some sort of say in Carti's creative direction, and Carti probably thought the photo was hard. Anyways, this clearly hyped up the fans since the last time Carti posted a cover of some sort, it was followed up by music. So it would be extremely likely for Carti to drop some new music, possibly even the album. Then, on the same day, DJ Academics would tweet out, "Carti on the way," truly making it seem that this was indeed the cover for a potential drop, as Academics provided the world with the release date for his previous album. Once fans saw this tweet, it only made sense to believe it, as he has direct ties to Carti. The odds of Carti dropping would then be further increased the next day on Christmas, when he took to Twitter to say, "Hello Twitter," which was shortly followed by another tweet that read, "Love all my supporters, it's time." Clearly, it seemed as if Carti was gearing up to drop some new music through these tweets hyping up the fans. Especially after a tweet that literally states that he loves his fans and that it's supposedly time. it only led to people to assume that his return to music was about to commence, as people were gearing up to hear Carti's latest project, music, or a single from it. Then, the following day, academics would then speak more about Playboi Carti potentially releasing new music, as he would give more insight regarding the album.
This got told to me directly. They said, yo, Carti is leagues and bounds beyond anyone else in the I'm talking about younger music industry, because he's committed to setting a standard, never following the mold. He's not looking out there to be like, what's popping? Let me copy it. And even if he's done something, he's flipping it. He's doing some other shit now. He's doing completely different. His whole shit that he's doing again is going to shock people. And you gotta give someone credit that doesn't follow the trends.
Obviously, this was Carti telling ACT to let the fans know they should expect something new, as he once again wants to break the boundaries of music. But of course, like typical Carti fashion, he went ghost for the next couple of days. He would come back on December 29th, which happened to be a Thursday. This time, Carti simply posted a selfie on his Instagram page, which once again started to rile up the fans. Some people were still delusional and believed that Carti was going to drop that night. After all, he posted a single or album cover, which was followed up by a couple of tweets that seemed to hype up a drop. As I previously mentioned, the album itself would be named Music, since to him, that is what he's best at. Carti wants the world to know that he can develop music that everyone is going to enjoy. But despite all this, he then went MIA for the next couple of days, which many took as the calm before the storm. To which he made his return on a Thursday, which could only mean one thing: new music. Unfortunately, this wasn't the case, as Carti would yet again straight up lie to his fans, allowing the fanbase to end up in a spiral once more. This ended up being mine and many others' favorite lie, as it is notoriously known. It became infamous for possibly hyping up the fanbase the most during that period in time, since many believed something was going to happen. If I'm being real, even I thought he was going to drop and was kinda surprised that he didn't. Funnily enough, it has been 2 full years since this incident and it still hasn't been time, as no new album from Carti has yet to be released. Now, there has been some information to come out regarding why Carti built up this hype just to lie to his fans, as it came out a few months later on February 14th, 2023, that Carti had been arrested for allegedly choking his pregnant girlfriend. Supposedly, Carti has been living with a girl named Brandy for over 2 years. She would be 14 weeks pregnant by December 20th, 2022. Nevertheless, Brandy wasn't aware who the father was, so she asked Carti to take a paternity test. Carti would then disagree with what she was saying, and the two would get into an argument. This argument would escalate further into Carti supposedly physically attacking her. Brandy would then state that a witness jumped in and broke off the fight, where she was able to escape from Carti and run to her car. However, Carti then chased her to her car, where he allegedly started choking her till she could barely breathe. She then called the cops, to which once they arrived, they would state that she had injuries to her neck, chest, and back. Evidently, Carti would get arrested and his lawyer would claim that all of these allegations were false and the case would be dismissed without any prosecution or litigation. In other words, this meant that the case would be dropped and no trial would commence. Once this came out, it became quite clear that Carti might have now wanted this to be publicly spread and decided to pump fake a rollout to hide this incident from the internet. Since he knew that once this hits the internet, a negative light would be shone upon him. This means he wouldn't be able to drop his album, as people would only claim that he is for damage control, allowing the moment that he wants to not be perfected, leading into the album to be delayed yet again. Now, there is no concrete evidence that Carti did this stunt just to hide the situation from the public, so don't take this as entirely true, as there is a possibility that he was going to drop regardless of what transpired. All we do know is that Carti did not drop anything and left this moment as an infamous lie. Keep in mind that after this incident, Carti and Brandy were seen together multiple times. So I'm leaving this entirely up to y'all into believing what the pump fake was for. Fast forward 2 months, and fans were left in the dust as Carti had not been in the media much. with the latest news surrounding him being about the arrest that occurred back in December 2022. At this point, people fully gave up on the album music dropping anytime soon, as there were no clear signs of it releasing in the near future. However, fans would soon see the light at the end of the tunnel once more. Just a week later, following the expose of Carti's arrest, a popular DJ in Atlanta named Swamp Izzo would declare on a radio show that his album with Carti is fully done.
I'm gonna get that to work, miss. Swamp Izzo and Playboi Carti's album is done. One more time. Swamp Izzo and Playboi Carti's album is done.
Jordan, you dropping? You heard it here first.
So we're gonna do some.
Of course, when the news broke out, fans were skeptical since Carti has never been around this DJ at all within his career. But Swamp Izzo would deny any fans being wary of the legitimacy of his statements by posting a picture to his Instagram page with the caption reading, "Swamp Izzo and Playboi Carti soon." This seemingly confirmed that Swamp Izzo had some sort of involvement with the album. From here, a month would pass and Playboi Carti would be set to headline Rolling Loud Miami. He would open this show with Swamp Izzo talking, hyping up the crowd, then played a brand new single called Rockstar. This would definitely confirm that Swamp Izzo is involved with the album. But it was after the concert where a bunch of information came out. For starters, one of Carti's main producers, Filthy, responded to a fan asking if he is the executive producer of the next project, to which Filthy would basically confirm it by saying, "I'm him." He then went on to declare how excited he is for everyone to hear what they've been cooking up. Then, fans began flooding Carti's associates to see if they could get any new insight regarding the tape. This is where Swamp Izzo comes to play, as he actually had a conversation with a fan on Instagram. The fan would begin by asking him if the project had an official name yet, to which Izzo claimed that nothing has been set in stone and that the name will be revealed within the next 2 weeks. The fan then asked if Carti's A&R had a date in his bio, since his bio contained a specific date. Swamp Izzo would actually respond by saying that it is before the set date, which was June 16th, 2023, meaning that the album should drop anytime before June. Finally, the fan asked Izzo if Filthy is indeed the executive producer of the project. Swamp Izzo would seemingly confirm this by saying that Filthy was at a studio session with him. Through all of this information, it became pretty evident that Playboi Carti was planning to release his brand new album sometime in the near future, as both his main producer and DJ have been providing information that most likely came from Carti himself. To which Izzo claimed that nothing has been set in stone and that the name will be revealed within the next 2 weeks. Sadly, the usual Carti cycle began as the 2 weeks have passed and no title regarding his new album was available. To make matters even worse, June would approach and the album didn't even drop, fully revealing that whatever Izzo said was definitely a lie. Now, when it comes to this lie, we can actually put the pieces together on what went wrong. See, Swamp Izzo was definitely a new addition to Carti's team, as Carti probably wanted to test the waters with something new by utilizing Izzo. Carti seemed to mess with whatever they were cooking up and decided to keep him on the team. Unfortunately, no one warned Izzo about the cult-like fanbase Carti has, and it put him in a bad scenario, as Carti probably gave him a possible release date knowing that the album might not even drop by then. So when the fan asked him about the tape, he just relayed the information he knew to him. This is what led to the lie, as Izzo didn't know that Carti tends to delay his projects. Another thing to note is that Izzo was most likely unaware of how often Carti gets his songs leaked, as there were tons of songs to leak from Carti towards the end of March. In fact, Filthy would even claim on his livestream that Carti had an album prepared for his fans, but due to the leaks he had to delay it.
They leaked another Carti song? Niggas is lame, bro. They ruining everything, just so y'all know. That's why niggas ain't record. We don't do nothing. Fuck y'all niggas. Niggas had an album for y'all. It wasn't make-believe.
So basically, by Swamp Izzo publicizing this information so early, he kind of set himself up for failure. At the same time, this is something that Carti and his camp should have briefly explained to Izzo so his fans don't paint him in a negative light. which is why I'm still considering this as a Carti lie. Following this, a month later, fans would spot multiple billboards in London on the same day Playboi Carti and his label, Opium, were set to perform at Wireless Festival. Every billboard spotted would all have the same picture depicting every person on the Opium label with the word Antagonist above it. At first, people were skeptical on whether or not these billboards were real. If they are real, the next question is, what are they promoting? Well, one of these questions would get answered when one of Carti's signees, Homicide Bino from Homicide Gang, would repost one of these billboards, overall confirming that these billboards were developed by Carti and his team. But one question still remains. Are they promoting a tour or an album? On one hand, it could have been an album as talks surrounding an Opium album were in the air. However, on the other hand, the likelihood of an Opium tour seemed more likely, for two reasons. One, it was too early at this point in time for a collective-based project. And two, everybody on the label other than Carti and Ken Carson have dropped a project at this point. Meaning that if Carti and Ken drops fairly soon, a tour of all of them performing their tracks could commence. Soon after, everyone's questions would be answered as on July 15th, 2023, Playboi Carti would take to his Instagram story to fully publicize the tour's existence. The tour would be from September 2023 to December 2023, and it would contain Playboi Carti, Ken Carson, Destroy Lonely, and Homicide Gang. Playboi Carti's website would also be updated with multiple venues being able to purchase. Clearly, this got fans hyped up as this would only mean one thing. Carti would possibly be dropping in the near future, as it would only make sense if the entire label is going on tour. This would be further confirmed when a fan purchased a ticket for the Mercedes-Platz venue. The fan would then receive a message saying, after the release of his new album, Music, the 26-year-old artist will pay Europe a visit in the context of his Antagonist tour. This would utterly confirm that Playboi Carti would be dropping a brand new tape extremely soon. Well, in typical Carti fashion, this was not the case. In early September, it would come out that Playboi Carti would be delaying his entire tour by 2 months, which means that the tour will now start in November 2023 and end in February 2024, with the Europe part of the tour taking place in the beginning. This would evidently cause fans to be disappointed since they got riled up for little to no reason. So this kept fans waiting as the tour would need another 2 months to commence. But in the meantime, Ken Carson would begin the rollout for his upcoming project, A Great Chaos, which eventually dropped on October 13th, 2023. This would explode his career into new heights, allowing himself to be prepared for the Antagonist tour. In fact, when the album was released, an interview with the young prodigy came out, to which the interviewer asked about the tour. Ken would simply respond with, "More chaos, I don't want to give too much away." This basically meant that the tour was still on and they were only waiting for Carti to drop. So the fans were only looking towards November for a possible drop, since the tour starts within that same month. Then, as the first November tour date approached, the Europe tour dates would be delayed, as fans were receiving emails informing them that their tour date has been officially postponed. On the same day, DJ Academics would put out an official press release announcing the tour being delayed. As the press release read, Playboi Carti Antagonist Tour, UK and Europe dates rescheduled, new album coming soon, Opium label signees Ken Carson, Destroy Lonely, and Homicide Gang set to support tour. Basically, this was just further confirming that the European leg of the tour has been rescheduled and that a new tape is set to drop. Many fans were not surprised by this, as the days leading up to this were looking extremely bleak. The next day, Carti would post a picture on his alt Instagram account, opium_opium, where the picture appeared to have the Antagonist logo, with the caption reading, "Antagonist is forever, music will be forever," which led people to assume that the tour might still be happening. However, this was not the case, as the tour was delayed indefinitely as it became January, and every date would be updated on his site to say, "to be determined." Then, unfortunately, 2 months would pass by and the tour would be officially cancelled on March 25th, 2024. This would completely destroy fans, as all the money they spent for this tour, other than the ticket itself, would be wasted. Luckily, fans would be refunded for buying an Antagonist tour ticket, ultimately putting an end to the Antagonist tour. This lie was completely messed up, as people spent hundreds of dollars for hotels and travel expenses. All this money lost could have been avoided if Carti never announced a tour with an unfinished album. If only he took his time and publicized the tour when his album was done, then people could have saved their money. This caused many to actually be upset at the rapper, as they would either need to do something at the place they booked or find someone to sell it to. On top of this, the entire situation is just messed up, and it almost felt like Carti pulled a lick on his fans. To which, this comment summed up the scenario best. Canceling your tour a month after the tour was supposed to happen is diabolical. Overall, this would end up being one of Carti's worst lies, as it literally hurts his fans financially. Returning back to September, Playboi Carti had just publicized his birthday party, to which all his fans 18 or up are allowed to pull up. The party would last from 11 PM to 4 AM on September 13th. Obviously, fans would be eager to go, and anyone who lived in the Atlanta area went to attend the birthday party. Once they fully entered, fans would be met with a broken down van with opium spray painted all over it, a station where they could get opium tattoos, and all of Carti's affiliates would be in the establishment, with some of them being in a cage. Playboi Carti would end up performing to all his fans later on in the night, as he would be standing in an elevated area with his artists Ken Carson and Destroy Lonely standing beside him. He then would play new songs, one called Vamp on Jeans featuring liluzivert, and another titled Problem Child with Travis Scott. This got fans hyped, since it would be one of the first times in a long time where they heard a new 1629 track. Alongside this, hearing new music from Carti is severely rare, so the fact they are witnessing this is insane within itself. Not to mention the fact that both tracks contain big features, it would only increase the amount of hype for his upcoming project. After the party ended, everyone went home, and fans began to spread footage of the party along with the 2 new snippets of the tracks he played all over the internet. Nevertheless, one of Carti's affiliates, DJ Swamp Izzo, went on Instagram Live that same day to state that he and his friend, Little Bankhead, are going to debut a new Carti track on their radio show. Swamp Izzo would then preview a 2-second snippet of the song. For those 2 seconds, you can hear Swamp Izzo saying, "World premiere," making it seem that the song was actually going to drop. Evidently, this got fans excited, since they could easily record the track off the radio station and have the song downloaded to their phones. And yes, they would actually do all that. Anyways, this caused everyone amongst the fanbase to tune into their radio show the next day in hopes of hearing a brand new Carti song. At first, fans were met with an extensive wait, as the show would go on for several hours just to hear any information. Eventually, Playboi Carti would be on the radio call, and I'll just let y'all hear what he had to say.
Playboi Carti, the generation noise! Izzo!
What up, bro?
Yeah. What up? What up?
Happy birthday, my boy. Happy birthday.
Yeah, appreciate that.
What we doing, man? I got this record I've been had in the stash, right? And I didn't want to give it to the world, right? But since it's your birthday, with your blessings, your honor, I want to leak it to the world. I want to just go ahead and just give it a little sample. Not the whole thing, just a sample.
What is up?
It's time, bro. Hey, I'm in here with Little Bankhead, man. You got to rock in with Bankhead.
Bankhead, everybody in there, man. Shout out everybody in there.
Hey man, we about to go crazy right now, man. Happy birthday, man. Turn it on. We gonna play it all week, all day, all night, bro. Introduce this record, my boy.
What is on?
Let me do it the right way, man. That dude is on Playboi Carti. Let's go on the People Station. B103. Thank you. Happy birthday, bro.
So, as many of you could assume by this clip, no song appears to drop, and Swamp Izzo once again hyped up everyone just for no reason. There is a slight chance that Carti did approve of Izzo dropping a song on his radio station. After all, it would be just weird for him to call up Carti live and tell him to drop a song for his birthday. From the moments prior, it truly appeared that Swamp Izzo had this planned out for a while and wanted to aid his friend's career. Nonetheless, Izzo should have known that Carti could be indecisive and could have not allowed it to be released at the last minute. Regardless, This lie was pretty tame and ended up being a joke for most fans. Heading to early December 2023, and Playboi Carti would actually end up appearing on the internet once again, but this time it was to begin his rollout for his upcoming album, as he and a bunch of his associates all posted a photo that said "I am music" on all their social media pages. Carti would specifically post this with a caption saying, "Prepare." Pharrell Williams would even repost the same thing with the same caption. This would soon be followed by Carti changing his profile picture on Instagram to "I am music," officially letting the fans know that Carti is truly back and they should be prepared for the album that he's about to drop. This was the beginning of the rollout for Carti's album, and it became very active and was hyping up the project, allowing fans to become the most hyped they've ever been within the last couple of years. This hype further exacerbated when DJ Antagonist tweeted out, "Playboi Carti, album coming January, will be the greatest thing you ever heard." Antagonist would then provide more information regarding the album on his live stream.
Carti is ready to press the button on the rollout. You're going to see more posts from him, more activity from him, more motion from him, and Carti season is in effect. Starting today. The album, the project, the music, what you've waited for, will be delivered in January.
So through this clip, people would know what to expect from Carti over the next couple of days. From here, Playboi Carti would continue his rollout the next day with a post that said, "I'm not playing," which had a beat playing in the background. He then continued by posting another story which had the same beat as the prior one, this time with lyrics. So an actual snippet would be out for this track. Then out of nowhere, Playboi Carti would release a brand new track titled "Different Day" on his alt Instagram page. This truly made everyone aware of how serious Carti was being during this time, as Carti just previewed a new beat, then released an entire new song. All the fans were very hyped about this, as it would be his first official release since 2020. Although this came from him, it would only be available on Instagram, meaning that people had to download the track to their phones. Carti then posted DMs between him and Frank Ocean, saying, "Twin, post a snippet or something. If it's up, then it's up. What, you scared?" This was pretty hilarious, since Frank Ocean is known for not dropping any music since 2019, with his last album being from 2016. From here, people were extremely aware that the Carti rollout was actually happening and the project was set to release. After the countless lies, people were led to believe that in January of next year, things were about to go down, as Carti just dropped and it's being very active online. After this, a couple of days would pass and not much would happen. Then, a few days later, Carti would post another snippet where he's depicted with all of his signed artists, Ken Carson, Destroy Lonely, and Homixidegang, along with any of his affiliates. This led some to believe that Carti might be dropping a track with one of or all of his signed artists. This boosted the hype even more, as people wanted a single with Carti and his signees. The next day, Playboi Carti will post an announcement on his Instagram story declaring that Carti is going to drop a song that night at 9 PM on YouTube. This caused the entire fanbase to enter a frenzy, as this is the second song Carti is dropping since beginning his rollout. That statement itself is insane to hear for some fans, as they wouldn't be getting only one song from their favorite artist, but now two. Then it became 9 PM and the world was ready to hear Carti's brand new track, 2024, referring to him dropping new music in 2024. Within the song, he states 2024 music, meaning that new music will definitely be released in 2024. At this current moment, people were led to believe that this meant in January of that year. The song would also show the fans two different voices by Carti, one being the same voice from his previous track, Different Day, and the other one being a new deeper voice similar to the one heard from his feature on Travis Scott's song, Fiend. This new deep voice sound was also similar to both snippets that he previewed recently, leading fans to theorize that this new album is going to publicize his new deep voice on several tracks. Regardless, this song will only be available on YouTube, so once more fans would need to download this song to their phones. Soon after he dropped the track, Carti would post on his Instagram where it read, "Keep streaming and I'll drop another," causing some to repeatedly hear the song on YouTube for Carti to release another single. By this point, fans realized that these constant and concise drops fit within the theme of the album, which is named I Am Music. This name would come from I Am Music being posted everywhere and the fact that he's dropping all different types of music. Since, like the title entails, he is music. Thus, 3 days later, Carti would post yet another announcement claiming that he's going to be dropping once again. This time, he would drop one of the snippets he previewed earlier where he was with his affiliates. The song Hood by Air would eventually release and it instantly became his most liked single to date, through it receiving over 1 million likes on Instagram. This track would be a full deep voice track and fully showed the new sound. Towards the end of the single, he would reveal the name of his second child, Eve. This would be his first daughter, and the mother would have been Brandy, who was the girlfriend that Carti had an altercation with. From here, another 3 days would pass and Playboi Carti would post someone who I think is Brandy. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments because I don't really know for sure. Regardless, the person is throwing up a sign that represents Carti, which is YVL, or Young Vamp Love, thus marking the start of a new wave within his career, as YVL will always be associated with him. Then Christmas will come and he'd post a video with him, Little 88, Metro Boomin, and Destroy Lonely, all partying in a studio or club. Then things would get quiet once more, and Carti would post a selfie on his alt page 3 days following the video. Then Carti went ghost yet again, and the rollout seemed like it was cooked, as Carti wasn't that active and the odds of an album releasing anytime soon was at an all-time low, especially since around this time fans were theorizing that the album will be releasing on January 5th, 2024. This would make sense as the project would drop 2 weeks before the tour was alleged to begin. Alongside this, 5 is an important number to Carti, since it represents the clique that he's a part of, which is Homicide, and Homicide associates themselves with the number 5. Even though this makes sense, Carti being inactive made it seem like the album is probably not dropping anytime soon. Then, on January 1st, 2024, Carti would rebuild the hype for the rollout once again by posting another announcement that he is dropping another song on YouTube. This time with Travis Scott. This easily aided him in gaining the hype back, as he would be releasing a song with one of the biggest rappers in the game. So through this and the hype that he already has to his name, it only made sense for him to drop it as the rollout was at a low point. Nonetheless, new music from Carti is still very appreciated, as his fans don't get new music from their favorite artist, thus allowing Backrooms to be released and pushing forth the rollout for the album. Sadly, this is where things take a turn for the worse. For starters, he'd still be promoting the new drop the next day, which was followed by another post of him holding a chainsaw in the club the following day. That same post would also have a caption that was the exact statement that he posted after dropping 2024, which was, "Keep streaming, I'll drop another." Then, Carti's creative director, S's Death, would post a snippet of a music video of Carti in that same club with the chainsaw, leading some to believe this is going to be the next drop. Then a few days after, Carti would post a video that resembled a Smack DVD video back in the early 2000s. He would also publicize a new moniker for himself, which is Baby Boy. At this point, fans began speculating if the album could be released on January 12th, as it would still be 4 days prior to the start of the tour. Nevertheless, January 12th passed and there would still be no tape. Not only this, the tour would yet again be delayed indefinitely and truly put an end to any theories as to when this project is dropping. Then, Carti would make another announcement and drop the next single, titled Evil Jordan, on January 15th. On the same day of the drop, he reposted the single on his Instagram story with a caption that said, "Run it up and I'll drop again, on Eve." This would be utterly insane, as he literally put it on his kid that he'll drop again. Plainly, this would mean that he is planning on dropping soon, but if we're being honest, soon to Carti is like 2 years. So, it came to no one's surprise that 2 days from here, Carti would post DMs between him and Kanye West as they were working on Ye's next album. He then would be seen wearing music merch, making people think that the album was right around the corner. Obviously it wasn't, and this would be the last we hear from Carti within January 2024. Completely revealing that new album January, which was stated by academics the month prior to be a lie from the Narcissist himself, and utterly not drop any music soon, although he put it on his daughter. Don't worry, he did eventually drop, but I'll get into that more later on. But as I explained earlier, Carti was definitely planning on dropping the album in January, as he seemed pretty serious about dropping, as he released a total of 3 songs throughout the month of December and previewed 1 new snippet that didn't drop in that month. If he wasn't being that serious, then I doubt Carti would have actually dropped any of these singles. Alongside this, he definitely gave Akademiks the green light to start talking about the album and when his fans are going to hear his new body of work. If he wasn't serious, then Akademiks would have not had this information and wouldn't reinforce the idea of Carti rolling out his next tape. Unsurprisingly, Akademiks would actually state the whereabouts of the project during his live stream.
The album was still scheduled to, drop as it was announced by me. But I don't know if that will get pushed back. You get what I mean? Because I know everybody's like, yo, it's one more Saturday or Friday left in the month. I won't tell you exactly when, but the talk was that would still happen. Like Carti would still be dropping in this month. I don't know if he's gonna just move the date back. At this point, I think he'll probably move the date back.
Clearly, January 2024 was a lie that once again had Carti pump faking his fans, as they once more had to believe they were in a rollout just for it to lead to nothing. But this wouldn't be the worst lie, as his biggest lie was about to happen. Now for this part of the video, I am going to be discussing on what transpired within Carti's career for the entire year of 2024, as the whole year ended up being a lie from the rapper. For you guys to see why that is, I'm gonna have to start from the beginning. So continuing from January, the idea for this album was still 2024 music, as he was promoting that leading into January, and it didn't necessarily mean that the album had to drop in January. 2024 music could simply mean that it could be released at any time throughout 2024. So he kept his head up high and continued to work with Kanye for his album Vultures 1 with Ty Dolla $ign. But before the album would release, Playboi Carti would enter a controversy with popular kick streamer Aiden Ross, as he would appear on Aiden Ross's stream for a grand total of 6 minutes. During the stream, Aiden would actually hand him a bag full of cash, which means that Carti pretty much scammed him. Nonetheless, Carti and Aiden's relationship is quite shaky, but they seem to be on okay terms now. It's weird that Carti did not utilize this moment to his advantage, as he had 2 features on Kanye West's album being ready to be released. He could have used this moment to hype them up and get more eyes on Ye's project. Regardless, this situation only promoted the album more, and 2024 music was still in effect. Kanye West and Ty Dolla $ign would officially drop their collaborative project, Vultures 1, on February 9th, 2024. The project would contain 2 Playboi Carti features on the tracks Carnival and F-Some. These songs would officially start Carti's 2024 feature run, as they both were pulling in insane numbers, as both tracks racked up over 100 million streams. In fact, F-Some would peak at the 23rd spot on the Billboard Hot 100, and Carnival would peak at the number 1 spot, marking Playboi Carti's first ever number 1 track. Carnival would even go 2 times platinum in only a year, which is pretty insane since not many tracks could do that. Following the release of Vultures 1, Carti would join Kanye and Ty's Vultures listening parties to perform his tracks and features. He would attend the New York show and the Milan show. Funnily enough, after the Milan show, a fan would ask if he's dropping the album anytime soon, to which he would just completely ignore him, pretty much signifying that it's not coming soon. After this, fans would spot Playboi Carti filming another music video. Honestly, this music video never came out, and I just mentioned it because it fits the whole 2024 music agenda. To which, 2024 music was still in effect, as Carti would drop his last Instagram single titled Ketamine on March 12th, 2024. Now, this song we're releasing was plainly for damage control for the whole Aiden Ross situation that I explained earlier, as it ended around the same time the track dropped. Honestly, this would be smart of Carti, as his fans can't really complain for a new song, so it would completely stray away from any negative light shone upon him. Regardless, this still fits the 2024 music plan, as DJ Akademiks would post another tweet saying 2024 music Carti album on the way, stay tuned. This statement would actually mean something too, as Playboi Carti would be set to appear on Metro Boomin's and Future's album, We Don't Trust You. This would first be declared when Carti previewed a snippet of a track with him, Travis Scott, Metro Boomin, and Future. Metro Boomin would then co-sign this by tweeting out, #type stuff, @Future, @Travis, @Carti, #We Don't Trust You. This seemingly confirmed the name of the track with such an insane lineup, as this lineup in itself will bring in crazy numbers as it contains huge artists within the industry. The song would of course go insane, as We Don't Trust You released on March 22nd, 2024. After the track dropped, Carti would release an extended version of his verse on his alt Instagram page. The song would also drop alongside a music video where Carti is depicted to be with Metro, Future, and Trav along with his affiliates. The song was fairly successful as it received over 470 million streams on Spotify and landed on the second spot on the Billboard Hot 100, meaning that Carti landed within the top 5 on the charts with back-to-back features. This instantly took Carti into new heights, as every feature he was getting on were pulling in numbers. It seemed as if every song he was hopping on was beginning to be his song. This trend would only continue with his next feature on Camila Cabello's song, I Love It, which swiftly released a week later, which is utterly insane. It would drop alongside another music video, which received over 23 million views on YouTube and over 130 million streams on Spotify. The track would be on a more pop route, which would be perfect for Carti leading into this album, as this is a whole new lane of fans he could acquire, truly bringing in fans from every genre when coming into this album. This single would land on the 81st position on the Billboard Hot 100. As every track he hopped on pulled in insane numbers, has been acquiring new fans from every fan base, and overall has been entering the mainstream. This led to Carti to become the biggest he's ever been throughout his entire career. After this, as we enter early April, Billboard would do an interview with Cardo Got Wings, who was the producer for Hood by Air. Around this time, there was talks of him being the new executive producer of his next album. During the interview, Carter would state, "I look at everything that he's done, with guys like Pierre and everybody else. They all give him a different sound, a different pocket. They all bring something different to the table. He doesn't reach out to people because of this or that, he reaches out for a specific sound." This basically meant that Cardo noticed the different sounds Carti utilizes with each producer. So when working with the rapper, he wants to develop a whole new wave, which is why those singles he released all sounded different and fresh. Speaking of those singles, he would provide some insight as to why they aren't on streaming. As Cardo would claim, "I guess he is testing the waters with social media first." This revealed that Carti wanted to see which sound his fans are messing with for his next tape, as he wants the project to be a variety of different sounds that his fans will enjoy. After all, the title is I Am Music, and that is something he is trying to prove. But sadly, this is where the run comes to an end, and the 2024 music agenda seemingly came to a halt, since Carti would be ghost for the next couple of months until his first performance of the year and new era. The day before Carti was set to perform for Summer Smash, DJ Academics would tweet out another tweet regarding the album that said, "I'ma have to go find Playboi Carti again. Last thing that dude told me was 2024 music. It's halfway through the year and it's finna be 2025 soon. They gave me 2 dates that I didn't stick to, lol." This had fans worried, as he was right in the sense that it's been 6 months into 2024 and the album is nowhere to be found. Alongside this, he was supposedly told 2 different dates that were utterly false. So who knows when this project is going to be released? Then, the next day, on June 16th, 2024, Playboi Carti would be set to perform at Summer Smash as a headliner. This would be a significant moment of the year, since it would mark the first performance of the I Am Music era. This would mean that for the first time in the last 4 years, Carti would most likely not play a bunch of Whole Lotta Red songs at his concert. This would make perfect sense too, because he dropped 6 new singles that he could perform. Not to mention that he came off an insane feature run, so he could perform those tracks as well. On top of this, the morning of the performance, Academics would yet again post on his Twitter saying, "I talked to Playboi Carti and told him, yeah, fans need that album." His response was, "I'm ready." which, I mean, didn't really move anybody, but he did have valid information because of what he would play at the show. Once the performance started, he would open with Hood by Lier, which was followed up by some of his released singles and features. But it was during the middle of his performance that was the most interesting, as he performed 2 new unreleased tracks for the fans to hear, one being All Red, which is a popular snippet from the fans, and the other being FMI DJ. These tracks would be worth the wait, as even more new music would be heard from the rapper. On top of that, fans actually got to hear a song that they never believed would actually be played live, which was All Red. After this performance, the next day would commence, and Carti would preview a new snippet called Skinny Jeans. This snippet would have Carti on more of a soul type beat, which further depicted the range of music Carti can create. Afterwards, Carti would appear on a couple of shows, which was then followed by Carti featuring on Kanye West's and Ty Dolla $ign's project, Vultures 2, as he was on the track Field Trip alongside Kodak Black, Don Toliver, Ye, and Ty. This song would pull in the best numbers from Vultures 2, as it went to peak at the 48th spot on the Billboard Hot 100. Carti would also be on another track with Drake, but he didn't clear it, possibly due to the Kendrick and Drake beef that transpired earlier this year. This is because Carti would side with Kendrick due to him having some sort of ties with the rapper. From here, Carti would once more be inactive for the next couple of days, until August 24th, where he posted to his story a picture of him wearing a backwards Allen Iverson jersey. This would be the start of a new rollout where Carti is wearing backwards basketball jerseys. 2 days after the beginning of this new clothing era, Carti would post a picture between him and The Weeknd on his Instagram story, teasing a possible new collab. Then, the next time he wore a backwards jersey would be on September 1st, where he was seen wearing a backwards Orlando Magic jersey. Following this, Billboard would begin to tease an exclusive interview with Playboi Carti set to drop on September 3rd, 2024. Once the interview dropped, some information regarding the album came out, starting off by the interview stating that I Am Music is set to release by the year's end, seemingly confirming that the project is very close to being dropped. Then, the interview would reveal that Carti has been calling his next style of music as burnt music, which is possibly referring to what Carti was alluding to earlier in the year, thus depicting the newer sounds Carti is promising to his fans. Following this, Billboard would then provide Carti with the Hip Hop Power Player of the Year award, despite not officially releasing any music other than his features throughout the entire year. He would also provide a speech upon receiving this award. This would be utterly insane, as Carti has yet to release any new music on streaming services, so by him getting a whole award truly shows the height of his career. Nevertheless, fans returned back to the Billboard interview after him getting an award, as they noticed words on the side cover to Carti's hat on multiple pictures throughout the entire interview. Fans would then discover that the words on the side of the cap would read All Red, illustrating that the All Red track might see an official drop. The next day, the odds of All Red dropping further increased, as Carti posted another picture of him wearing a backwards Atlanta Hawks jersey. This time, he would be seen wearing a similar cap to the Billboard interview, where the same side cover was shown saying All Red. This picture would then be reposted by the Atlanta Hawks Twitter account with the caption, "Drop the album." This would be a crazy part of the rollout, as Carti even got actual NBA teams asking him to drop I Am Music. Then, on the same day, Carti would tease the All Red music video by reposting one of his affiliates talking about it on his Instagram story. This would seemingly confirm that All Red is indeed dropping in the near future. From here, The Weeknd was set to perform in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Due to this performance, fans began theorizing that Carti might make a guest appearance, as Carti posted him on FaceTime with The Weeknd a few weeks prior. Surprisingly, fans' theories were correct, as Playboi Carti would post a picture of him in his private jet in his story. I'd also like to point out that he was wearing the cap with the side cover in a way that would make it easy for it to be read. So by this point, people fully knew that the side cover did in fact say All Red, further hinting at All Red dropping. Anyways, returning back to The Weeknd show, Playboi Carti eventually walked on stage, where him and The Weeknd debuted their new song, Timeless. This once again introduced Carti to newer fans, as The Weeknd is one of the biggest artists in the world. So through this collaboration, Carti could instantly boost his career into new heights. Not to mention, once the song dropped, it'll immediately start racking up numbers. From here, multiple other basketball teams would repost Carti telling him to drop the album. This leads us to his birthday, September 13th, where fans began speculating if Carti is going to release All Red. After all, his birthday happens to land on a Friday where music typically gets released. And looking back earlier within the video, Carti has attempted to drop music on his birthday in the past, so it is very likely that he would drop on his birthday again. Then once it became Thursday, fans would become extremely excited when Carti posted an announcement saying he will announce something that night. And yes, you heard that correctly, an announcement for an announcement. Only Carti, bro. But when the announcement was revealed, fans were in for a surprise, as Carti would drop multiple pictures appearing to be possible album covers for the album on his main Instagram page. This would be the first post on his Instagram in over 2 years. The caption to this post would read, "I am music, the album, link in bio." Upon entering the link in his bio, fans would be met with multiple bundle pre-orders for the project. When purchasing a bundle, it would state that they have to ship it within the 6 months of it being available. Now, this would be a smart tactic by Carti, as it would allow him to build up sales while the project is being prepared to drop. So once it does drop, all those bundles can be shipped and contribute to the total amount of album sales he'll acquire. Although this was the case, it didn't prevent an outrage to surface on the internet, since the album had a possibility of releasing in 2025, which would defeat the whole purpose of 2024 music. This caused everyone to get angry at Carti for utterly lying to his fans in one of the worst ways possible. This would then force Carti to officially drop All Red on all platforms that same night, marking it as its first ever streaming release since 2020. This single would pull insane numbers, as it racked up 100 million streams in about a month, be the #1 song on the all genres chart on Apple Music, and peak at the 15th spot on the Billboard Hot 100. This would end up being the biggest song Carti has released, as it was highly successful on all charts and pulled in the best numbers to date. Fans were also very happy, since it was a track they had been wanting for quite some time. After this single dropped, Playboi Carti would then drop another snippet titled Young Vamp Love. This would end up being the most hyped snippet for this era, as fans are hoping for it to make an official release. Then, The Weeknd would declare that Timeless shall be released on September 27th, 2024. Once the song dropped, it swiftly took Carti's career into new heights, as it earned him a top 3 placement on Billboard and received hundreds of millions of streams. From here, we head towards November, where Carti was set to perform at ComplexCon and Camp Flog Gnaw on the 17th and 18th. With Carti playing new music earlier in the year, fans grew to believe that there could be a possibility of him playing a new song, to which they were right, as he played a new track called What's My Mother F Name during his ComplexCon performance. This song had Carti on more of a heavily EDM type of beat and sounded like the outro to the project. Then during the night of the ComplexCon performance, Carti was set to perform at a nightclub. Whilst at the nightclub, Carti would shout out Kanye West, thanking him for helping him create beats and that the album is going to be crazy. This would evidently hype up the album even more, as the year is slowly coming to an end, meaning that the album should be releasing fairly soon. But then a video would come out depicting Carti asking his fans if the album should release this year or January of next year. Now, this would get the fans angry because he spent the entire year working on his album. By asking the fans when he should drop, they would become wary of it possibly not even releasing in 2024. Not to mention the fact some fans told Carti to drop the album whenever he wants, which I don't know why he would say that, because it's been 4 years since Carti's last album, but I digress. Regardless, knowing how Carti is, there's still a possibility of Carti simply trolling his fans, as he knows himself that he's going to drop by the end of that year. Following this, Carti would post DMs of someone telling him to ask the fans of when they want the album, to which he responded with, They said now. So these DMs were a clear reason as to why he asked those fans when they wanted the album. Hearing that he's aware of when the fans want it, people began wondering if he is finally going to officially start rolling out this album. And this seems very likely, as Carti would post on his alt Instagram page claiming that new Carti Friday is in full effect. So fans once more would become excited that Carti is most likely dropping a new single this Friday. Carti would continue this hype by posting another snippet 2 days later. This snippet would be titled Backdoor due to the caption reading Backdoor or MF, and it would be produced by Kanye himself. Obviously, through this snippet being available, people began theorizing that this is the track that is going to drop on Friday. With all of this happening, it truly appeared that Carti is going to pull through and release new music Friday. The likelihood of this happening only grew on Thursday, as Carti would drop another Instagram song called Play This. Carti would actually comment under the song's post saying, "I'm not done at all. This is some cool stuff I wanted y'all to hear because I love this song. But the stuff that's on my album, overly trim." This revealed that this song, along with all the other tracks he dropped so far, other than All Red, have been throwaway tracks, as he only provided his fans with these tracks because he loves them a lot. He also wanted to see what the fans were gravitating towards so he could truly perfect the sound. He would further confirm this by pinning a comment of a fan explaining how Carti goes through test phases with his quote-unquote leaks so he could develop a sound that many will love. The fan then went on to state how he doesn't get mad at the wait, as you can't rush art. Clearly, Carti has been giving his fans some insight on the thought process behind creating his next project, as he has been giving many fans new sounds that he's been working on, so when the album does drop, he can utilize the feedback to develop something that all the fans will love. Nevertheless, Carti still said that more music will be released, and it was about to be midnight, having fans on the edge of their seats for new music. Then Carti would double down and post an extended snippet to his highly anticipated snippet, Young Vamp Love, on his Instagram story. "I'm locked right now, overly trim. I told 5 I want y'all to hear this too. What we doing?" Well, what we are doing is not dropping, as Carti wouldn't drop that night. Although the producer of the track, DJ Moon, would post on his story earlier this week, the song itself still wouldn't see an official release. From here, Carti would be inactive for the next week till the 27th, where he publicized that he will be headlining Rolling Loud Miami, and that songs from I Am Music are going to be played for the 10-year anniversary. Evidently, this hyped up the fanbase once more, since they are finally going to hear songs from the album. This takes us to December, the final month of the year, where Carti only has a few Fridays left to drop. Moments leading up to the Rolling Loud show, Carti will post yet another snippet called Drugs Call Me Numb. This was yet another soul type of sound that Carti has been previewing throughout the year with tracks like Backdoor and Skinny Jeans. This also sounded like an outro type of song, which confused fans as which track will be the outro, this or What's My Name. Afterwards, Carti would perform at Rolling Loud, where he would preview 5 new songs being White Nose, Crush featuring Travis Scott, Walk, Drugs Got Me Numb, which he previewed earlier in the week, and Lose You featuring The Weeknd. This was truly a gift for the fans, as this was the most tracks Carti would preview to date. Through this, fans would really believe that Playboi Carti is finally dropping his new album, since if he is previewing this many tracks, it should only mean one thing. On top of this, academics would yet again say 2024 music, and soon after the concert ended, further pushing the agenda of Carti dropping the album later that month. Carti would even win another award this time, gifted by Rolling Loud, for being the best performer, which again is insane, as he only dropped one official track throughout the entire year. But this is when 2024 music had started to crumble down. Firstly, Carti would go inactive the next couple of days following Rolling Loud, allowing fans to get worried of an album even dropping within 2024. After the Rolling Loud performance, he would post a snippet to a music video of the song Crush, which he played during his show. This caused people to believe that this track is definitely going to be on the album. He then followed this up by posting more clips from the show. Soon after, he posted fit pics with Metro Boomin the next day, which was followed by more fit pics the following day. Once more, another fit pic would drop the next day. This time within the comments, someone commented, "Good fit, but drop." To which Carti said, "Bet." Now, this became a huge issue within the fan base, as the only thing Carti was dropping were fit pics. And throughout the whole year, he has dropped countless pictures of his fits. Which kinda is a lie in itself, since in a leaked song with Travis Scott, Carti says, "I ain't taking fit pics, fit pic." This is kind of ironic, since he has definitely taken numerous fit pics throughout the year of 2024. In fact, to the fans, 2024 music wasn't real, and in reality it was 2024 fit pic. Anyways, returning back to the comment, Carti would state that he is indeed going to drop. Academics would even reinforce this idea by tweeting out, "Carti's on the way, relax." And, "So soon. It hurts not being able to tell y'all exactly when, soon." Nonetheless, no one took academics seriously by this point, as the dark times were commencing. See, usually music releases on a Friday, and at this moment in time, Carti had one Friday left within the year. And as these tweets were coming out and these daily fit pics were happening, the odds of him dropping seemed to decrease each day. Not to mention that Carti would actually repost one of Academic's tweets, making it seem that it's still 2024 music, which would be strange, since if it was, then he would have started promoting this album throughout the week. This clearly led fans to be extremely disappointed, as Carti has had 4 whole years to work on this album and he still hasn't delivered. But there was still one day he could return, which was Christmas, for the Whole Lotta Red anniversary, as he has utilized that day in the past to put forth new information. Unfortunately, all we got was academics hinting the fact that 2024 music is cooked on stream.
And y'all want me to keep it 100 with y'all too? So I'm keeping it 100 today, right? Nigga, I hollered at Carti a couple times, like, "Yo, Carti, what's up, nigga?" I think that's why I posted my last tweet too. I was like, "What's up, bro?" Like, yo, they on my head, bro. Like, they, you know, like, but I am glad that we didn't give a date. But it is absolutely coming, bro.
By him saying he's happy that he didn't provide fans with a date only made things worse, as the whole fan base started to enter a frenzy, as someone made a flyer trying to boycott Carti for the horrendous stunt he pulled. Even though this was in order for the fans to boycott him, in reality, this would only really benefit him, as any publicity is good publicity. If someone saw fans trying to boycott their favorite artist, it would only get them interested as to why this is the case, and begin doing their own research on the matter, overall possibly turning that individual into a fan. Regardless, as many of you can assume, Friday came about and absolutely nothing happened. Fans did speculate that he might drop on New Year's, as it is still possible he can keep 2024 music alive, but the likelihood of that happening is little to none, as New Year's was on a Wednesday. It wouldn't make much sense for Carti to drop his biggest album in the middle of the week, as it would lose possible sales. Now, some fans did notice that their pre-order bundles were ready to ship, but one, that could be easily faked, and two, it just wouldn't make much sense to ship those bundles without any album promotion going on. This takes us to 2025, where Carti was MIA for the beginning of the year. He has returned recently with, of course, more fit pics. At the time of me writing this video, it is about to be February and there is still no album in sight. Clearly, 2024 music was the biggest lie of his career, as he had a whole year to fulfill its promise and he still couldn't keep it. Funnily enough, while I'm editing this video, he was originally supposed to be on the deluxe project to The Weeknd's album, since they did a collab for it. With this collab, it was promoting 00 and XO, which are both the brands of Playboi Carti and The Weeknd. The collab made it seem like a new Weeknd and Playboi Carti song was supposed to release, but of course that didn't happen. Instead, all Carti did that week was dropped an already leaked verse on Lotto's track, Blixum, on streaming services. More recently, Carti has been seen promoting the album through billboards that contain phrases that he was saying throughout the whole rollout. However, no one truly knows if these billboards were a soft start to an album rollout or not, as Carti never acknowledged them. Oddly enough, all his associates did repost these billboards, so who truly knows what they mean? Regardless, one thing did come out of those billboards, and it was the fact that Spotify would be a main sponsor when it comes to promoting the album, as they funded the billboards and began teasing Carti's next drop. Carti would also confirm this by posting on his spam Insta page through the caption reading, "At Spotify, what we doing? Let's go and clear these whole ad dudes out." At this point in time, Carti has about a week left for those album orders, and there's no album in sight, leaving all the fans to question if they're going to refund the orders or just delay the shipping date. Regardless, it's looking like this album is going to be delayed yet again through another lie. Yet again revealing another mere lie to his fans. It is honestly insane that he still hasn't dropped, but if you're asking me, I'm not that mad about it. I get that the fans are impatient, but as you can tell by this video, Carti is an extremely untrustworthy individual. And if he is working on IM music as we speak, I'd rather him take the time so he can perfect it as much as he can. So when it does drop, it can be the best it could ever be. Regardless, the year seemed to be about IM fit pick rather than IM music, since he dropped a total of 72 fit picks throughout the course of 2024, which is more than the total number of songs in his discography, truly wrapping 2024 as his biggest lie to date. So this has been every Playboi Carti lie he has ever said. If I missed any, let me know down in the comment section below. If y'all stuck around this long, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe because this video took me quite a while to create. Also, if you're wondering, Carti has lied for a grand total of 27 times throughout the course of his career, which is utterly insane when you think about it. With all that being said, all I can say is, Playboi Carti, if you're watching this, just drop the album.